Welcome to Talking Science, where we dive into science and space. Adam Gilmour is here to look back on 2021 and peer ahead to 2022 at Gilmour Space. Adam, thanks for your time.
Pleasure. Lovely to be with you, Matt.
This is Trekzone's Talkin' Science.
Well, I rolled that opener too quickly, but very briefly, don't forget Trekzone membership available via the join button under each video on YouTube or via the trek.zone/support. Plus Trekzone's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and your favourite podcast feed. Find us, like, follow, and subscribe. Adam, welcome back to Trekzone, my friend. From signing up with Fleet Space to launch their nanosats, working on a bushfire satellite, and teaming up with SpaceLink, there's certainly been plenty to keep you and the team busy this year. Plus, back in June, you secured $46 million US in Series C funding to get a launch vehicle into orbit. Through all of that, there has been the constant cloud of COVID that has hung in the air. How has 2021 been for you personally?
It's been good. I mean, we've got a lot done. I like to set extremely aggressive goals. So, when you do that, you never quite hit your goals, but we got a lot of them done. And I think it sets us very well up for next year. One of our aggressive goals is we wanted to launch a rocket into orbit next year, and we're definitely on track to do that. And so I think I'm feeling good. The team is feeling good. We've been doing a lot of work on finishing the design of the vehicle. We've pretty much finished the design of the vehicle now. We're manufacturing a lot of the vehicle. We're putting it together and we're testing. So we've probably got at least another 6 months of testing left while we assemble the vehicle, and then we want to launch in the second half of next year.
Very, very exciting. Well, earlier this week, Dr. Brad Tucker and I discussed the announcement of the Space Manufacturing Hub in Adelaide, and we're going to get back to the rocket too. And with Mission Control and Agency Headquarters also in Adelaide, and now this Manufacturing Hub as well, they're all coming to the City of Churches. There's a strong push to focus the space industry in South Australia. As a Queensland company, what are your thoughts on that? And do you feel like the rest of the country is being excluded?
I don't think so. I think it's good that state governments are also chipping in. I think what the country needs is a significant increase in the amount of government investing into the industry in its early stages so we can compete effectively with other nations. And what I am seeing is quite a robust commitment from various states. South Australia, definitely. Queensland is committed to space as well. New South Wales has started to make a lot of noise about space. And I think Victoria will next year. So I don't really think it's a case of whoever moves first wins. And I think it's a better case of, everybody can win. And I'd love to see the South Australians succeed in their space manufacturing factory. And for us to, we're going to build a bigger factory next year as well. If I did want to say anything, I would really just hope that the bulk of state government and federal government is to Australian space companies and not to foreign space companies. So there is a foreign rocket company in on the bid in South Australia, and I'm disappointed with that. And I'd like to see state and federal governments supporting Australian-owned companies primarily.
It is certainly an interesting one, and I guess having the Federal Space Agency as well they're obviously looking after Australian interests, and not just these state-based. So interesting that we're sort of having this little mini race inside of Australia as well, and having these foreign investors or these foreign companies coming in, certainly not really going towards our sovereign launch capability, but certainly something that we can strive for and hopefully start standing on our own 2 feet and getting out there and doing our own thing.
I agree. I mean, competition it's a global competition. So, we're not super worried about it, but the reality is the rest of the world, the governments are very heavily financing startups and developing technology, and we need to do that in Australia too, to Australian companies. So that's really what we're hoping for in 2022. We're definitely hearing a lot of really good noises out of the government about stepping up a bit higher next year, and we hope that comes to fruition.
And some good investment from the Queensland state government as well, supporting some bids from Gilmour Space as well to get stuff done and really supporting you guys as well.
Yeah, we're very happy to see that this year. Queensland government was part of our C raise, and they invested through QIC. We're also in discussions with them about getting financial assistance if we win some of the federal government grants. So again, I think next year is going to be really good to keep working with the Queensland government.
Very exciting. Well, let's move back to that rocket because media release yesterday put out, just before our recording, about the Bowen orbital spaceport with the traditional owners of the land on which you wish to build the launch site signing a cultural heritage management agreement. Even a week before Christmas work, even a week before Christmas, work continues. What does it mean to have this agreement in place, Adam?
Well, it's very important that, when we go somewhere in Australia, when we're launching rockets from space, we get all of the stakeholders engaged and supportive. And, we reached out quite early to the local Indigenous community up there. And from the very first meeting, they were super supportive. We talked about a rapid schedule and how we had to get things done very quickly. And they've been supportive all the way. So, we're very happy to be working with them. We're looking at all of the economic job creation, economic interests that we can work together with the community up there, and just really appreciate the support. I think it's very important early on that you get this support. You really wouldn't want to have a very important stakeholder negative on the project at the beginning. So, we feel very good that we've got this agreement.
And I guess also important as well, recognising the traditional custodians of the land. I guess, you talk about them if there was a negative part of the stakeholder group there. Very important for you to get that recognition from those traditional owners and the Indigenous people up there before proceeding any further?
It is, and there's just a bit of luck in rockets as well. Like, we're all a little bit superstitious, so I'm very happy to keep a community that believes in smoke dances and all the goodwill around that is super important. The Juru community that it lives and works up there is going to be a fantastic community supporter of our business.
Yeah, absolutely. A great one to see as well. Now, as I understand it, the plan is, with all relevant permissions granted, to see a first launch from the Abbott Point State Development Area by mid-next year. As you say, there's 6 months more testing to be done. Sort of on track for that mid-year?
We kind of are. I mean, we've hit a bit of a road bump with environmental concerns of late, and we're just kind of negotiating with the federal government around that at the moment. We'll probably have some more clarity in a month, but there's some risk that if we have to continue down a heavy environmental approval path, that will delay our launch.
Now, I've asked Dr. Brad a few times here on Talking Science, but I'd love to get your thoughts as well, Adam. Why is sovereign space capability so important?
I think it's important for many reasons. I mean, one of the most important reasons is access to space in Australia is a really good enabler for all the other Australian space companies to work together. And so, we have this philosophy of working closely with our fellow Australian companies and providing them access to space very, very quickly, easily, and for low costs, especially in the early stages of development. So some of the contracts that we've signed with Australian companies are really good pricing, and we want to do that to enable the Australian space community to continue to grow. From a defence point of view, it's vitally important that Australia has sovereign launch capability, because in the event of any kind of a conflict, the first things that will be affected are assets in space. So if you don't have the ability as a nation to reconstitute assets in space, like communication satellites, observation satellites, etc., you're vulnerable. And so we're in a very vulnerable position right now, and we need to fix that with sovereign launch.
Well, aside from the Bowen launch in the middle of next year, if it goes ahead, of course, safety first, what else is on the horizon for Gilmour Space in 2022, Adam?
Well, we're building bigger vehicles, so we'll be working very heavily on what we call the Block 2 vehicle next year, which increases the payload about triple from the Block 1. Wow. So that's a vehicle that will take almost a tonne of payload up into space. So we'll begin that work in earnest in January. We've started a lot of work already, so that'll keep us busy. We're also building a second launch vehicle. So we have the ability to launch at least 2 rockets next year, and we'll commence the building of the 3rd and the 4th vehicle next year as well. So we'll be very busy making rockets next year.
Very, very exciting. Looking forward to all of that, Adam. And as always, it is great to chat with you. Looking forward to working closely with you next year and featuring you across Trekzone podcasts. Thanks for beaming in for this edition of Talking Science.
My pleasure.
Wow.